Good morning and welcome to StudyIQ. I am Prashant Bhavani. I hope you all are doing good this morning. It's a very beautiful day. A bit of rainy clouds on top of the sky. 26th May today. Let's see what we have got in the Hindu. But before that, a positive start. There are two ways of spreading light. The first one is to be the candle, and the second one is to be the mirror that reflects it. With this, dear friends, we have many important articles on our table today. Today is Tuesday, and you know that we get many articles on Mondays and Tuesdays. So this one is about reduce, segregate. We need substitutes for plastic, incentives to reuse, and better waste disposal. We have talked about plastic on this World Environment Day before and after that. This editorial in fact is very important. Second one is about Erdogan's victory. Turkey's president breezes through the election and will now wield enhanced powers. We'll go through this one where I will take you through Turkey as well. A brief profile and map of Turkey is waiting for you guys at the crossroads. This one is about two images, two different things that we find, right? A police standing by indifferently or rescuing the victim and thereby the mob. And then you have an unequal platter, very important article. It is this one, right? It is time the government finds a sustainable solution to the malnutrition crisis. You find questions, mains examination questions based on malnutrition or health, public health every year. So in this context, it is a very, article 4 is very important. All eyes on Russia. It's time to think of football as a game played by men and women in search of dream. This article is talking about the philosophy of football, sports, and it is also providing you quotes and lines from different authors as well as historical figures. I will leave it on you guys to go through it. It's going to be easy if you are, say for example, if you are fond of football, if you fancy philosophy, then just have a quick glance over it. You can read it twice as well, right? But as far as your examination is concerned, you won't find direct items that will be helpful. But for your essay writing, right, this will give you a couple of good ideas. So help yourself with this one. And then you have this uniquely placed. Uniquely placed is about Finance Commission must heed the Northeast's challenges. Written by an IAS officer. He's explaining what are the things that are required in northeastern part of our country. And then you have this one, the last one, a date with democracy. It's more about Nigeria. Why the Nigerian president's announcement of a new democracy day is being criticized. Again, these two articles I will leave it for you guys to go through it. It's a very funny picture here. Do let me know what you make out of this funny picture. With this, dear friends, up to 50% discount is available on our pen drive and tablet courses. It is going to last till 30th June. Make the most out of it. Our test series is out there as well. It is available. You can register now. It is available both in Hindi and English. Find out more about it on testseries.studyiq.com. Get in touch with me via my Facebook page or Twitter handle. Don't forget to hit the like button and share this lecture with other people as well. Reduce and segregate. Very important words on our screen. Reduce means it is talking about reduction in the use of plastic, particularly all those plastics, right? All those items, plastic items that are one time or use and throw sort of items. Now, Maharashtra has banned, you know, there was a big drive. I think it was on Saturday, isn't it, that we talked about this thing? Yes, it was on Sunday. I started this Hindu analysis with this picture of Bombay's beach, and it was full of plastic. We know this plastic menace. We have gone through many important facts and figures as well. So Maharashtra bans this. It has banned this use and throw, one-time use and throw plastic, right? Of course, the other items, like say for example plastic pen, and you have a plastic handle for your cooking utensils. These things are still available. It's not that all forms of plastics are banned, but particularly the main target here is this use and throw plastic, like water bottles and milk cans and so many things. You have a long list. If you just look around you, you will find at least, I guarantee you will find at least one item that is this falling under this category of use and throw plastic. Now here, this editorial, you find this word that this step is bit extreme, right? Is it the right word, extreme? Before that, let's go through this line here. This ban was not introduced overnight, right? The government gave 3 months notice period. So 3 months is 90 days roughly, right? And it's not a small, you can say, amount of time. You have enough time to pre-plan. So if you are still not, if you have not utilized this 90 days, then you are going to pay fines. And of course, when we say this thing that extreme, I politely disagree with this view of this editorial. It's not at all an extreme step. In fact, it's extremely important that we do something about this use and throw plastic, because it is everywhere, literally omnipresent, right, in our country. Now, stemming the plastic tide is of course a national imperative. It is important for our nation to fight this, you can say, increasing or sky-touching pile of this plastic mountain pile that we find in semi-urban area of major cities of our country. We know that hardly we recycle plastic, right? Hardly. A very small chunk of plastic is recycled, and you know it very well that you mix plastic with anything. If you bury it, it will destroy your soil. If it is just out there, it will create microplastics and it will impact trees. In fact, it is in today's The Hindu last page, you will find this thing on the page of life. You will find this, that air pollution is creating micronutrition deficiency in trees as well. Now, one important thing regarding the nature of this plastic is that it's why it is so popular, why we find plastic everywhere, because it is inexpensive. The second thing is it can be easily produced, and the third thing is it is of great convenience. It is our nature, human nature, that whatever is easy, a thing in which we have to add less effort, we will pick that one. So the best thing for us is to provide an alternative. Now, this year World Environment Day was hosted by India. The main theme was Beat Plastic Pollution. This was the main theme of this year's World Environment Day. And we have also promised that we are going to get rid of this use and throw plastic. Prime Minister has declared a target. 2022 is the target by which, right? Remember this target, very important for your future reference and your future understanding, that by 2022 we will get rid of all this use and throw plastic, one-time use plastic. The other thing is why we are still not, means this is just a case of Maharashtra, right? It is the first state, you can say, who has gone this strong against. Now, as you know that many of you commented, you passed your opinion and reality of what's going on. Like, say for example, in parts of Delhi, in other parts, there is on official papers you have plastic ban, but still you find plastic. But here things are a bit different. Now, one of the reasons why we are not able to achieve any success so far in this thing is because we don't have a plan at all. Without planning, we are planning for, without a plan, we are planning for failure. We need a synchronized plan where you have all these three tiers of body, right? Central government, then you have state government, and then you have your local government. All three of them needs to work together with each other, supporting each other without playing this blame game. Only then we would be able to fix this thing. This is very important. We need a national plan, as far as national action plan as far as plastic menace is concerned. Now let's go through some sad facts, right? These are some new facts. 9% of 9 billion tons of plastic produced. This is worldwide figure, right? 9 billion tons of plastic. Out of that, only 9% is recycled. Rest of it is everywhere, omnipresent. As far as India is concerned, right, we produce 26,000 tons of plastic per day. Can you believe this thing? This is estimated official figure. We still don't know, because we have a big unorganized industry, plastic producing small industries in our country. So still we don't have proper figure. Now, what we need to do, another thing, as far as policies or this structure is concerned, we need Urban Development Secretary to be responsible for plastic that is there under his area, right? His or her area. Urban Development Secretary should write reports, should present all this facts and figures, how much is produced, how much is recycled, everything, and it should be in public domain so that people can, judge whether things are going well or not. The other thing that is something that we have to do is segregation. It's not something that just we have to do. It's the government as well. 50-50, right? 50% is our responsibility and 50% is government's responsibility. Without this thing, we won't be able to achieve anything. We need proper dustbins everywhere. See, I told you that it is our human nature. We need to work on this thing as far as our country is concerned. See, in different countries, people or countries that are, or cities and countries that are more, swachh or clean, over there, the people of these countries, like particularly developed countries like France, UK and other countries, they have this habit, that if they eat a packet of wafer or biscuit, they will keep this wrapper in their purse or in their car, and when they are nearby a dustbin, they will throw it in a designated dustbin. But in our country, if we don't find a dustbin, we throw it just on the street. This is something that is my personal observation. So we need more dustbin. And what we means, dustbins are made out of plastic, isn't it? So all this plastic that we find everywhere, we can recycle it, we can give it a new shape, and we can make as many dustbins as we like, right? We can place it literally, dustbins should be omnipresent, and clearly plastic dustbins, right? They should be made out of this transparent plastic, so people can literally see that only plastic. If you write down plastic, then that's not going to help. That's what I think. If you have a transparent dustbin where you allow only plastic items will go there. If there is paper or other kitchen waste or other things, that you can have a separate dustbin nearby it. If we do this thing, that we can segregate. This is about public place. Now households, we need proper days, right? Designated days, like on Mondays plastic will be collected. Apart from plastic, nothing else will be collected from your door. So if we do this sort of things, if we introduce these things, and if we make, if we provide some sort of incentive, awareness, official support and proper infrastructure, then we can change this habit. And yesterday I told you, or when the last time we talked about this thing, I think we discussed, I clearly said this thing, I'm sure I remember this, that this cloth bags, that homemade bags, not branded ones, I'm talking about the ones that our mothers and grandmothers, they used to make it from bed sheets and curtains, used curtains or old curtains and all these things. These bags can produce so many jobs compared to what we produce or what this plastic industry is employing. Moving on to another item, very important editorial. It's about Erdogan's day. Now, if you find questions, at least one questions in your prelims examination every year that is associated with geography, not geography, I would rather say locational geography. And if you go through that question, and if you are well aware or up to date with current affairs, you will find that these questions are very easy to answer, because you find this sort of countries many a times in news. They are in news many a times in a given year. And here is a country, Republic of Turkey. It was in news in 2016. It has been in news in 2017. And now you have Turkey again in news for a big reason. Let's go through its quick profile. Population is 79.5 million. Area is given here. Language is Turkish and Kurdish in some parts. I will tell you which part they speak Kurdish language as well associated with this Kurdish people. Then your major religion is Islam, of course. Life expectancy 72 and 79 for women, and the currency is lira. Now this is the country here that you can see. It is you can say it's on the border. When I say border, I mean to say a bit of Turkey has got this culture. It's a fusion of Asia and Europe, right? If you go to Turkey or if you meet the people of Turkey, you will find this, a unique personality in them. They have this family life of Asia, and they have this modernity of Europe, a mix of both. So interesting country, right, in terms of culture as well. It's very rich, no doubt. Now you can see many important geographical items: Black Sea, Ukraine, and you know, this part of Ukraine was annexed by Crimean part was annexed by Russia. So Black Sea was in news. Now you see here, this is Mediterranean Sea. You have this West Asia or Middle East. Middle East is a name given by foreign media. In terms of India, the proper word is West Asia. So here you find Syria, you find Jordan, Iraq. And as you can see, Iraq here, and if you'll open your atlas, you will find that Iraq is sharing its border with this part. So here, this part of Turkey, you find the Kurdish people living in this region of Turkey. And you know that Iraq is a big base of Kurdish people. So anyways, I hope these things are clear to you. Mediterranean Sea here. And now let's look at some other important items. Right, Ankara is the capital of Turkey. Then you have Anatolia Plateau and Taurus Mountain. All right, you have Eastern Taurus and Taurus Mountain. So Taurus Mountain is quite famous mountain of this country, Turkey. You have Istanbul. Istanbul is not the capital. It is, of course, a big city. Many times it is in news for various reasons, for its culture. For nowadays we find many Indian films are shot in Istanbul. Very beautiful place. Now the most important thing about this portion here, let me zoom it up for you guys and show you. You find Bosporus Strait, right? Bosporus Strait is basically connecting this Black Sea with the Sea of Marmara or Marmara Sea. So these two seas are connected by this Bosporus Strait, and then you have this Dardanelles Strait that is connecting this Marmara with Aegean Sea, or if you talk about bigger sea, then this is Mediterranean Sea. So very important information here. Please pay attention to this thing. Now let's see what's politically why this thing is in news. Of course, for political reason. Recep Tayyip Erdogan has got re-elected as the president of Turkey, and this was not a big surprise because he's one of the most powerful person in Turkey at present. Last year a referendum took place, and if you go year before that, 2016, right, here you got this line here, 2016, July 2016, there was a coup attempt to you know, throw away this Erdogan's regime, but this coup failed. And after that, you know, they say that a wounded tiger is more dangerous. In the same way, he became very strong, right? He was after all those people who were part of this coup, and basically many of them are behind the bars. Many journalists, there are many military leaders, and so many people are behind the bar at present. As far as government jobs are concerned, many people have lost their jobs. Economy is not doing that well. Economy, like inflation, has kicked. Foreign direct investment has dropped down, of course, because of this political crisis that is going on for a bit of long time now, nearly 2 years. And since then, emergency was applied. Now, this whole election took place under this state of emergency, and it was believed and discussed in global media as well that it is going to be an easy victory for Erdogan. Now he is going to have more power with him because of this referendum. It gave this referendum was conducted, and it gave green signal for executive powers to give extra power to the president, and now he is going to apply or use all these powers that were given by this referendum. Now it is very important that we find peace, or ways, or you can say political maturity is something that is required in West Asia, because we know what is going on in Syria, we know what is going on in at present in Turkey, then this Iraq, you know, Jordan. So all these countries, most of the countries are facing some sort of problem, right? In Iran as well, at present you have a stable government, but still you have this, you know, hardliners, they are gaining grounds. So all these things are going on in West Asia, and this sort of things, right? A person controlling or having, you can say, unchecked power, untrammeled power, is not going to be helpful for for West Asian neighborhood as well, which is most of the time in news because of this ethnically driven civil wars. Now, moving on to an unequal platter. It is about malnutrition that we find. But before moving ahead, I would like to take a couple of minutes and explain some basic difference between growth and development. Very important to understand. Generally, we mix up both these things, right? Growth is associated with quantity, right? It is quantitative. You can measure growth. So I can say that 7% you can say addition in the GDP of our country. So that will be a quantitative addition, and that is something that we can calculate. Development is more about quality, right? Quality is something that you can feel, that you can see, but you cannot measure, you know, how you feel, whether you feel happy, or I cannot say that I am feeling 7% happy. So development and growth, both these things are interrelated with each other. One is supporting the other one, and the other one is supporting the first one. The reason is that you can easily imagine, if you have money in your hand, which is part of this quantitative world, you can open up schools and hospitals. If you provide schools and hospitals and skill training, then you can develop your human resources, and they will create a society. People would be following rules and regulations. Everyone will be behaving at their best and things like that. So more opportunities for other people, safe environment for women. So supporting each other. I hope things are clear to you. Now, development is about expanding the capabilities of disadvantaged and thereby improving the overall quality of life. This is very important part of development. And what we find, it's not necessary that if you are a rich country, like take countries like Saudi Arabia, take countries like Dubai and UAE and other places, you find they are very rich, but you cannot say that they are developed countries, right? As far as their societies are concerned, you find so many people who are uneducated, and there are other issues as well. We can go on and on. And it's not just about them, it's about us as well. Like, say, for example, take the case of Maharashtra. It is one of the richest state in our country, but it is also a classic example of lack of development. Just having growth is not something that will guarantee that development will take place. And if we compare this National Family Health Survey of 2015-2016 to 2005-2006, then we find that stunting, no doubt, has declined. Earlier on, it was 46.3%. At present, it is 34.4%. But wasting rates have increased. It was 16.5%. And now it is 25.6%. As far as underweight rate is concerned, 36%, that was earlier on during this 2005-06, has been same in 2015-16 as well. This is worse than some of the worst, or you can say, world's poorest countries like Bangladesh. You have countries of Saharan Africa. We are talking about our country, India. On one side, we are termed as the fastest growing major economy of the world, and on the other side, when we talk about development, we find this sort of rates. And one of the main reason is disproportionate or you can say disproportionate distribution of nutritious food. And victims, of course, you can imagine, is the poorest segment. You find this sort of problems in the poorest, and we have biggest, you can say, quantity of poor people in the world. When it comes to different countries, definition of poverty is different. But when you see poor people of our country, then they are living in worst imaginable situation, right? It is very harsh. So it's not just that we have poor, the poverty as well is very dark, very bleak. Now, according to NFHS 2015-16, every second tribal, that means 50% of tribal kids, right, they go through this malnutrition. So this is going to impact their future growth. They are not going to perform that well in school. In terms of money, right, their parents would be spending more for medicine and other things behind their kids. So vicious cycle of poverty. When they become adult, they would be taking more leaves because their whole growth, because of this wasting and stunting and other things, because of malnutrition. It is basically they are going to be less productive compared to other kids. So this is is going to create other political problems for them, isn't it? The other thing is, all these things are happening because of insufficient intake of macro and micronutrients, and diet diversity research was conducted, and it was found that diet diversity, you need to have like something, from 1 day to 15 days, you need to have variety of different foods. What is happening with this tribal kids is that they eat rice and dal 3 times a day. That's it, right? Rice and dal, it can fill your tummy, but it will not give you this macro and micronutrition. So government need to do something about it, of course, with the help of this public distribution system, PDS. We need to add bajra and ragi and other things, vegetables and fruits, eggs, milk, all these things. You cannot provide milk every day, but at least you can give subsidy for goats, right? Goat is considered a poor man's calf. It is sturdy, does not require any medicine or anything. It can feed herself, right? It can loiter around and it can come back to your place. So you can provide goats, and this scheme is going on in different parts of our country. And one more thing, that one of the main reason, right? Earlier on, tribals used to be fine when they were dwelling in forest area. They know they were having access to their fruits and vegetables and roots and other items. But because of this loss of their traditional dependence on forest livelihood, this is one of the reasons why they are going through this sort of thing, or their kids are facing this sort of problem. And the second thing is states deepening agrarian crisis. Moving on to another item, this is about Finance Commission. Now, Finance Commission, one of the most important thing of Finance Commission is distribution of net tax proceeds. I'm sure you are aware about this thing, because this is not the first time we are talking about 15th, 14th Finance Commission. It has been in news for various reasons. Now, 14th Finance Commission adopted a formula based on tax devolution approach. Apart from grants in aid for local bodies, disaster relief and post-devolution revenue deficit, it also came out with this formula that states will get some extra money for various different things, right? For, say, for example, renewable energy sector, for forest sector, for elementary education. And we are also aware about this thing, that this devolution of a state was enhanced. Earlier on, states used to get 32%, but then it was increased by up to 42% by 14th Finance Commission. Now, why we find this in news, or this IAS officer who has written this article, he is talking about Northeast. Now, as far as Northeast is concerned, we know that first of all, there is low levels of human development indices over there, low resource base, poor connectivity and infrastructure, and all these things are posing challenge for this Northeast. Let me tell you a few more things about Northeast. It is the first region in our country that got oil, right? Oil was found first time in this northeastern part of our country. It has got resources as well. As far as natural resources, minerals and other things are concerned, it may not be that rich, right, in those things. But as far as tourism is concerned, it has unlimited potential. So rather than focusing on industry, we need to focus on services as far as this Northeast is concerned. Now, for that, you need power connectivity, right? You need road connectivity, you need proper infrastructure, toilet facilities, water facilities and all these things. And for that, you would require money. So 15th Finance Commission should pay special attention to this northeastern part. What was happening so far is that, central government will launch a scheme, and 10% of that scheme, 10% of the share of any particular scheme was to be lifted by this northeastern governments. But this was unsustainable. In fact, Assam, the biggest one, was not able to bear this expense of 10%. Now government has decided that 100% scheme, right? Everything will be provided by central government. But even today, there are states in Northeast that they are not able to afford a salary of their state officers as well as state employees. So on this side as well, central government should pay attention. And Mr. Modi has said this thing many times, and this is true as well, that without development of Northeast, we cannot develop our country. At the crossroads, it is about communication, right? What we see, how we decipher information. we realize more and more that we communicate, that how we communicate determines what we communicate. Nowadays, what we are finding is that mobs and this, you can say, this lynching, the way things are going on, mobs are becoming dictating thing, right? They dictate things. If mob is not happy with your dietary habit, mob will attack you. If mob is not happy with boys and girls chatting with each other, then they attack. So this sort of things are going on. We find two pictures here. Recently, you know what took place in Tamil Nadu, and we also saw what took place in Assam and Uttar Pradesh, right? We saw that police were not able to take any action. On the other side, there is a police officer, Gagandeep Singh, you know, this Sikh police officer. I think I provided you the picture as well when this thing was in news. He bravely made sure that he protected this victim. He never allowed this mob to take charge. Or so we find this paradox in our society. On one side, you find that government is taking action. On the other side, government is not taking action. So we are always on this crossroad. With this difference, these are some important news items. Help yourself with it. And these are just headlines. You need to go through dig deep into them. Go through them, underline them if you want to, right? If you want to make notes, help yourself with it. But you have to read news items, and these are your answers. These are 2 new questions for you guys. Yesterday, you know, because of this power cut, I was not literally present in my this studio area that I have, right? I was forced to leave and go somewhere else because of lack of electricity. So it was not that, you know, up to my best, or not at my best. I found myself as well that I was not. Yesterday's lecture was okay. Sorry about that, but the main focus was to get it out as soon as possible. With this, this is StudyIQ.com website. Make sure you check it out for 50% discount that you get on our pen drive and tablet courses. Enjoy your day. I'll see you all soon. Jai Hind.